The Supreme Court just ruled against the Second Amendment and in favor of gun control. And in fact, a lot of the conservative justices that we expected to be on our side, well, they voted against us. They ruled against us, actually. So this is kind of a big deal. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. We're going to see where this goes because I think that this is a test for the new Trump administration, who has said that they are going to uphold and protect our Second Amendment rights, and they actually do have the power to do so in this case. Now, the frame and receiver rule has been a battle going on for a few years now. It happened during the Joe Biden administration, among other things like the pistol brace rule, all these things. So, and basically it's against ghost guns, 80% kits, right? Now, a big part of what they just ruled on in the Supreme Court is that they just took the government's word for it that these kits are so easy that a child can put them together, with basic tools in about 15 or 20 minutes. Now, I have personally never put an 80% lower together, an 80% Glock frame, any of that. I have bought or built all of my firearms from either serialized firearms or serialized lowers, serialized Glock frames. I don't really have any necessary reason personally to put together an 80% kit, but we should have the right to do that. It has been totally legal in the United States of America to build your own firearms at home since before the United States was the United States. And I think that this rule puts us on a bit of a slippery slope. So they kind of left it open-ended, up to the ATF, up to the executive branch to make decisions on an individual case-by-case basis, whether something is a firearm or not. And the reason I think that's a slippery slope is, what could they eventually decide is a firearm then? So I think mainly they're thinking of these 80% Glock kits, where you have a frame that is not finished, it still needs rails, it needs holes drilled, you need to remove some polymer components and put it all together. And then you still, of course, need a slide and a barrel and a trigger group and, all of that stuff, locking block your whole Glock. Well, what about an 80% AR-15 lower receiver? I mean, that is basically just a piece of aluminum in the shape of a lower receiver, but you need some actual milling skills to be able to mill out the trigger pocket in that. You can't just drill a couple of holes in some plastic to make an 80% AR receiver into a functional firearm. And again, just like with the Glock one, you still need all the other components. And yes, those are components that you don't need to get a background check done for or fill out a 4473, but you're going to need a barrel, an upper receiver, a handguard, bolt carrier group, buffer system, stock, optics, lights, slings, the whole deal. But I think mainly that the kinds of people that are putting these together are not really criminals. Now, I'm sure that there is a percentage of people out there that can't pass a background check that have bought 80% Glock kits, so they can own a firearm. Well, my opinion also is this: if somebody has been deemed safe enough to not be locked up, incarcerated, then they should have their full rights restored, including their right to keep and bear arms. So, I mean, those people maybe should be allowed to purchase guns through the legal process anyway, right? Which is unconstitutional in itself and on its face. The thing is with this is that the Trump administration actually has the authority to do something about this. And so I'm curious to see if they're going to. Now, I know that a lot of us, myself included, with this last election, we were really hoping that Donald Trump would win for many reasons, one of them being that his stance on the Second Amendment was a lot better than Kamala Harris's. We also know that in his first term, his record on the Second Amendment wasn't great. Now, this video is sponsored by Aura. While we might need the president to protect us from this Supreme Court ruling in this case, Aura can protect you from data leaks, viruses, spam, and scammers. They offer you all of your online security in one place, and I've been using it personally for over a year now, and I don't get spam calls anymore. I don't get scammers calling me anymore. It's pretty sweet, and I can tell you from personal experience. It's only $12 a month, and you get a whole host of services, but if you use my link down below, you get to try it out absolutely free for 2 weeks, 14 days to see if you want to keep it or not. If you do, they offer you spam and junk mail removal, antivirus software, a VPN with safe browsing, 3-bureau credit monitoring, scam call protection, a password manager, home title monitoring, and then the biggest one is data broker removal, where they actually go and they scan the entire internet and they find anywhere where your data has been leaked, your personal information, and they submit opt-out requests on your behalf to those data brokers, which are selling your information, which is why you get spam, which is why you get scam calls, and they get you off of all those lists, and then that just clears you up. And you don't get spam calls anymore, you don't get scam calls anymore, and you can just kind of breathe easy. It is really nice. And I appreciate what they've done for me. I value my own privacy, and I also value yours. So try Aura out absolutely free for 2 weeks using the first link in the description. Again, that link is aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. So the Trump administration can save us from this ruling. But really quick first, let's talk about the ruling. Let's talk about the fact that we had a bunch of Republican conservative justices rule against us. Justices that are supposed to be on the side of the Second Amendment. But, the chips sometimes fall the right way and sometimes fall the wrong way. And we have had a lot of wins over the last year or two. But this is kind of a big loss. Now, again, to me, I haven't built 80% kits. This is not that big of a deal as far as personally what I do with my firearms, but it is a big deal as far as the power that it could give the ATF. The power that the ATF tried to take for themselves when Congress is supposed to be the only ones that can make laws. But the ATF basically wrote their own laws with this frame and receiver rule. Well, now the Supreme Court has kind of backed them up, but they also kind of said that, we're going to save it for another day as far as what things are considered firearms and what are, just incomplete receivers or pieces of plastic or aluminum. And that's where I think we have a slippery slope to where it's we'll see where the ATF goes with this. Hopefully we have a different type of ATF under this new administration. But I also haven't seen a whole lot of pro-Second Amendment stuff out of the Trump administration just yet. So, he did the executive order. Pam Bondi had 30 days to look at all the Biden-era gun control measures and see what we could do to, combat those. Well, and then that 30 days passed. But then, they asked for more time, or she was given more time. But I still haven't really heard of anything solid happening. And there were things that Trump said he would take care of on day one. I think the pistol brace rule is one of them. Now, the pistol brace rule, not really affecting us right now. That rule is basically dead in the water, which is good. But I want to see not only Biden-era gun control stuff get taken care of, but other things. The NFA, the GCA. Why can't we get things like the Hearing Protection Act or the Shush Act passed? Why are suppressors and short-barreled rifles still regulated differently than any other firearm? There's no really good logical reason for it. And right now, as I've said in past videos, we have a Republican in the White House. We have a Republican majority in both houses of Congress. And we have a conservative majority in the Supreme Court. A lot of good that just did us this week. But Trump can do something about this, and this is why I bring this up. Trump, being the leader of the executive branch of government, could rescind this. And so that's what I want to see. I want to see Trump rescind this. I mean, we've seen courts go against things that he has tried to pass. There's no reason he can't also go against the courts. So that's what I'm hoping to see. Let me know what you guys think about this. Do you guys build 80% kits? Let me know in the comments if this is a big deal to you or not. If this is something that you did, because I think that I would be willing to bet that the majority of people that get unfinished frames and receivers and put them together are people like you and me, hobbyists, people that are passionate about firearms and the Second Amendment that like to build their own guns. I mean, I'm one step away from there myself. I've built most of the ARs you see behind me and one of the pistols, actually more than one. But I've done them from serialized components. There's no reason that we shouldn't be able to do them from unserialized components as well. So let me know if that's something that's important to you. Let me know if that's something that you've done. And if it is it as easy as the government told the Supreme Court it is, where, a 2-year-old can do it in 5 minutes with a hand drill? Because I don't think it's quite that easy. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.